Here's what Mike Florio wrote about the Cowboys. They've made most of their headlines this offseason by, number one, claiming they're all in for 2024, and number two, doing absolutely nothing to prove it. That dichotomy has helped conceal a far bigger problem. They have contractual messes with three of their key players, and they've shown no inclination to do anything other than delay, and delay. Florio concludes, don't be mad at the players for wanting fair contracts. Be mad at the Cowboys who seem to think playing for the team has some sort of inherent value that should cause players to happily take less. Keyshawn, once upon a time you played for this franchise and for that owner. Do you agree with this criticism?
No, I don't agree with Mike Florio at all. But what he did say there is the players should take less. That's what you and Michael Irvin thought. The players should take less to play with the Cowboys.
But he's saying they shouldn't take less.
No, they shouldn't take less. But for some reason, you and Michael think that.
I think really, Dak should have taken less the last time.
And as far as they don't do right by the players and things of that nature, that's not true. What young player did they ever lose that they wanted to keep that they drafted and they didn't pay? They pay them all. They pay them all. We can go as far back as Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin if we want to. Troy Aikman, Nate Newton. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on.
You just went Nate Newton.
We can go all the way back. But we can stay right here in present time.
Yep.
They took care of Zeke. They're going to take care of CeeDee Lamb. They took care of Diggs. They're going to take care of Parsons. Mm-hmm. They took care of Tyron Smith.
They did.
They're going to take care of Tyler Smith. They took care of Zach Martin. I can just go on and on and on and on. There's this narrative that's out there as if the Cowboys are cheap. They don't want to pay their players. They're negotiating. That's a simple negotiation. It's not that deep. Just because you don't know what they're doing and they're not out in the public discussing what their plans are, everybody all of a sudden gets their hair on the back of their neck and go crazy because the Dallas Cowboys are a team that gets clicks. And people like to talk about them. And they want to know what they're doing on a daily basis. And because you don't know, the first thing you try to say is, well, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They got to make decisions, man. They're making the decisions. They're just not telling us what decisions they're making, Skip. In the end, do I think that two of the three players are going to get paid this year? Yes, I do. Two of the three. The two is going to get paid is going to be CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. I think Dak Prescott plays it out, and I think y'all lose Dak Prescott at the end of the season. That's what I believe.
Glory be. Love to see it. Don't believe it. Okay. Jerry Jones knows what happened with Zeke and Dak the last time.
Yes.
He got played by both of them. Mm-hmm. Jerry does not like to lose negotiations, and he effectively lost both of them badly, because they both became bad bets because they didn't give him any bang for the buck. Zeke looked like the best back in football his first 3 years. Then he holds out in Cabo, and finally, near the end of training camp, as the season approached, Jerry caved, as you recall, and Zeke came back from Cabo and signed a big new deal that made him the highest paid running back in pro football. And he hit the wall. Almost immediately, he went down, 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 and down for the next 4 years. He did not give you near the bang for the buck that you gave him. You almost paid him for what past tense he had done, as opposed to
I actually thought after his contract, the first 2 years, he played well.
Again,
it wasn't his
numbers
rookie
went down and down,
but he actually played well.
Yards per game went down each of those years, but they went down every year he played for Dallas, because his best year was his rookie year, and then it went down a little bit, but he still led the league in yards per game. Still led the league in yards per game the third year, and that's how he got the contract. And then it went down and down and down for 4 more years. But the point is, he didn't live up to being the best back in pro football the last 4 years, and even you would admit that. He had his moments, I give you that. Here and there, some short yardage, some goal line, I give you that. Then Dak Prescott. Jerry did drag his feet because he wasn't sold on the 4th-round pick that was Dak Prescott. He knew in his heart of hearts, I'm not sure he's going to merit the kind of money that he is demanding from me. But in the end, because he just played it out with the franchise tag, and then here we go again, and you face a second tag, and he's going to make $44 million off the second tag. It's ridiculous. And Jerry finally caved in and paid him market value. And it was a whole lot of money that he is still on the hook for, and he still has nothing to show for it. He doesn't even have one trip to the NFC Championship game in the last 29 years. So the point is, the reason he's stuck in the mud right now with these negotiations is, I don't think he believes fully in Dak Prescott, and I don't either, because it's hard to sell him. It's hard to just in ink write that check where you say, yeah, he should be paid among the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, or make him the highest paid quarterback. What has he done for you in the last 3 playoff games to merit that kind of money? Nothing. He hasn't come close. He has been pathetic in the last 3 playoff games. Pathetic.
So y'all should move on from him.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying.
You should tell him to move on from him and see what that gets you, because outside of the highest paid quarterbacks in the National Football League, there's only one guy that's winning Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And that's Patrick Mahomes.
All right.
It's one guy. All these other dudes making money, they flaming out in the playoffs too.
Okay. Which team is the most valuable team in all the world?
I understand that they're valuable. I get that. But the reason that you're a valuable team is because the owner has done a tremendous job at putting them out in front of everybody for the world to see, from a marketing standpoint and everything else. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But when you say that Dak Prescott hadn't done anything, well, you could point to a lot of quarterbacks that hadn't done anything, except that dude in Kansas City. And all these dudes make $100, $200 million.
No, I understand.
So he plays a position that has a demand for you to make a certain earning. Okay, a dude that just you ridicule constantly, in Kirk Cousins, he just picked up $100 million from the Atlanta Falcons.
Good luck.
But that's what it is.
Okay, good luck.
He ain't been in no championship games.
That's a
the position.
reach. You're desperate.
That's the position.
All right.
Now you say, are you willing to run the risk? Because you can't franchise tag him. Okay? You can't trade him. Can't do all the different things. Are you willing to run the risk that he has a phenomenal year again, like he just had?
Yep.
And then he's walking out the door on you.
Okay,
because you don't want to pay him $60 million a year.
I've seen nothing. He's 2-5 in the postseason. Okay, let's say he gets on a roll. Somehow they draft 3 starters who become Pro Bowl players. I don't know. And somehow they make it to this coming year's Super Bowl with Dak Prescott as the quarterback. And he says, thank you very much, I'm out of here. I would be happy with that. I would take that, because he hasn't shown me enough to throw what classically is good money after bad. If you now make him the top paid quarterback in the league off what he's given you and not given you, you're stuck again. If you do it just to reduce your cap hits for next year so that you can sign Micah and CeeDee, and I still don't know how the math works. Everybody has these problems with their top players, and we're the only ones who are stuck in the mud with ours. Like, we can't figure out how to pay the top 3 players. I don't get it. The cap just went up, what was it, $30 million, an extra $30 million.
But I keep telling you that money that you save from the players that left, as the cap goes up, everybody else's and team numbers go up. So when you're talking about carrying a CeeDee Lamb, and I don't have the numbers in front of me from several weeks ago, but when you're talking about CeeDee Lamb's cap number at once upon a time was $7 million, well, that number's not $7 million anymore. That number is up. So that money that you think you're getting and saving goes to him. The same thing with all the other players. Their numbers go up every single year. So you don't have the money that you think. You don't have that sponge that's sitting there, Skip.
We've lost 10 players from last year.
Yes.
They're exiting stage left, stage right, stage center. They're gone.
Yes.
I say,
but everybody's numbers go up.
Okay. I'm still shocked they haven't paid CeeDee Lamb. And you can say, well, they're negotiating. But I've told you, he's the one player.
A conversation.
Yeah, he's the one man I take to my bank. He has earned his money. He is a baller at the highest level. He is trustable going forward. again, Micah Parsons, I think the reason Jerry's dragging his feet on CeeDee is that he's afraid of Micah. That if you pay CeeDee, Micah's going to hit the ceiling and start making waves.
If you don't pay CeeDee before opening day, he's not going to play for you.
Yeah,
I don't care what CeeDee Lamb says.
I would have no problem if he held out.
Yeah, he's gonna. You best to get it done.
You better get it done sooner than later. You better get it done at least before camp starts, because you do want him. You don't want him coming in on opening day. This is just ridiculous. But now we have some questions about Micah Parsons. I think you have some questions about Micah Parsons because he hasn't lived up to the hype. Maybe the hype was way too much to start with.
Well, my questions is about the back end of the season. That's the only question I have.
Okay.
His motor needs to run high on the back end in important games, things of that magnitude. Other than that, as a player, do I think getting into Mike Zimmer's scheme, a new defensive coordinator will help him become a better player? Yeah, I think it will. I don't buy in the notion that he's too small, he's not big enough, it wears him down. No, I think you put him in positions to make plays. On top of that, he needs the other players around him to make noise. Okay, you can't be a dominant player, unless you got somebody else opposite of you that's just dominant as well. It's just hard to do because they'll double you, they'll chip you, they'll bring 3 dudes to you. If they know that you could create a problem for them and wreck a game, they're going to account for that.
Is Micah Parsons as good as Nick Bosa is? I can't go there yet. I just don't think he is. Does he have potential to be? Sure he does. But I haven't seen him play to that level yet. Is he better than T.J. Watt? No, not to me.
Different. Different players, though. Micah's asked to do way more than those guys are asked to do. Micah moves around everywhere. They stand up either on the left, they put their hand on the ground, or they stand up. They move to the right, they either put their hand on the ground or they stand up. They're not out there covering dudes, playing middle linebacker, sliding. No, they're just not.
I know, but the essence of winning football games on defense is rushing the passer.
But that's not his fault.
Yeah, but I don't need him to cover people.
That's the defensive scheme that Dan Quinn decided to put together to utilize Michael's skill set because he's a freak athlete.
Yeah, but I can make a case he has the advantage of moving around that they don't have because offenses know exactly where they're lining up.
Yeah, that's true. But when you start to look at the impact that they bring from where they're at versus him moving all the way around, you're never going to really be able to gauge the true impact on him because he's not in one spot. He's just not.
So Jerry is stuck now with pressure to pay Dak Prescott at the highest level when he doesn't believe Dak Prescott is that dude. And now he's being pressured to pay Micah as the top paid defensive lineman in the history of football when Micah has not lived up to that potential yet. We know what the potential is. So Jerry...
He's outperformed his contract that he's currently under.
Well, sure, but he was the 12th pick in the draft.
He's outperformed it, though.
But why did he fall to 12? Because the word out of Penn State was he could be difficult to coach.
He didn't even play his last year, Skip. He sat out a year.
Okay, so now there's rumblings from the inside that he's difficult to deal with, that some people would be relieved if he were gone. Well, I don't want to see him gone, but are you going to get stuck with another Zeke-like contract where you paid him to be the best defensive lineman and he never measures up to that? Maybe. We just haven't seen it yet. He has not been able to close any deal. And Keyshawn, he had his worst pass rushing stats of his career in that disaster game against Green Bay in the home playoff game.
Bad. Man, it was 27-0 at halftime, Skip.
But he should be the leader of the football team. He should be the tone setter.
He's in his coming out of his third year, man.
Yep.
And if you talk to me 2 years and he's still doing the same things that he did in year 1, 2, and 3, then that's a conversation to have.
Okay.
But he's young.
But if you're having to write that check for him right now, you're going to write it?
But he's outperformed his contract. You got to write it.
Okay. You're going to make him the highest paid defensive player?
Next man up.
Well.
What you going to do? Okay, that's where it's at.
So now this falls into the category of all things Dallas Cowboys. Everything is overhyped, including Micah Parsons, but you have to pay him, like Florio says, he deserves a fair contract. Okay, well, what's fair? What has he done for you? He's been overhyped. He has not lived up. Dak Prescott has been overhyped. He has not lived up. I don't care what you say. He has not lived up when it mattered most.
Dak Prescott has been one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League since his arrival.
Keyshawn,
Skip.
all that matters to Dallas Cowboy fans, especially the long-termers, okay, we're spoiled. We've had 5 Super Bowls. We know what Super Bowls feel like. We've been there.
I understand.
8
I
times.
get it. I understand that. That's in the ancient history.
Okay, it's
though.
not ancient. It's not that far away. It's Roger Staubach.
30
and
years
Troy
ain't far
Aikman.
away?
Not for 29 years. That's a long time. But people know Troy Aikman because he's still very visible.
I didn't say people didn't know him.
Yeah, but
that's
they know
30 years ago.
But they know what it felt like. Okay, so you got to figure out when you're that franchise, like when you're the Los Angeles Lakers, you figure out back in your childhood, they went and got Kareem. How did they do that? They went and got Kareem, and then on top of that, they somehow went and got Magic Johnson. They didn't deserve Magic Johnson, right?
Well, they drafted him.
Okay, but they had to finagle the draft pick to get him, right?
You guys have finagled draft picks to get players?
How did the Boston Celtics get Larry Bird? They didn't deserve Larry Bird. They were good, right? And then they got the best player.
You got Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons.
If we had an owner with some savvy, he would figure out how to go get a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. It's just, I watched San Francisco do it.
When?
Well, they went for Trey Lance, and then somehow they got Mr. Irrelevant, and he turned into one of
in their lap, and he runs their system to
they
perfection.
Did it, and they dumped Trey Lance. And I'm not giving up on Trey Lance yet. And by the way, there is rampant speculation out there that Dallas would draft a quarterback with their first-round pick.
No, they're not going to do that.
Well, you better be ready. You better believe that Bo Nix or Michael Penix is that dude. Like they're better than Dak Prescott, and I haven't seen it.
They're not gonna draft. That's draft conversation because the draft is coming up on us. But they're not gonna draft a quarterback.
Okay.
Why would you draft a quarterback if you got 2 on your roster and Cooper Rush and Trey Lance already? Well, why would you do that?
Unless you decided, if Will McClay said, "Hey, I'm just throwing this out. I see in Bo Nix a star. I see some Brady in Bo Nix, that kind of thing." Well,
and you're going to draft him. Now you're going to alienate the quarterback for real.
For real. Okay, well, maybe that'd be fine. Or light his fire for this year, right? God. Well, I'm not giving up on Trey Lance. I'd love to see. We'll get to see a lot of Trey Lance in the preseason.
Yeah, you'll get an opportunity to see him.
Yeah. And
then you'll see what he has.
All right, we'll see. You done with him?
I don't know anything about him other than
Is he a bust?
No guy. Nobody's a bust that was drafted in the first round, especially when you don't get an opportunity to play. I don't use the word bust because it's hard as hell to even be drafted. Okay. Let alone in the first round.
Was Jamarcus Russell a bust?
No, he just didn't work out.
Okay, was Ryan Leaf a bust?
Didn't work out. Didn't work out.
All right.
None of it worked out.
All right, so they just don't deserve that label, is what you're saying.
Hey, man, it's hard to even get drafted, Skip.
Yeah.
It's thousands of kids that are begging to be drafted in the 7th, Mr. Irrelevant. It's hard.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out.
I apologize to Dallas Cowboy fans out there because you deserve so much better than what your owner is giving you right here, right now. Wake up, Jerry. Oh, he's with Micah now. I see. Okay. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.